turn around. Turning point, yeah. He's a turnaround.
Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Ocran. Welcoming you to Ghana's foremost developmental program and that place where the greatest minds in the world converge. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana and the Enterprise Group, as well as the Ghana Growth Program, with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So today we're talking about psychosocial support. For many of us, we will think about spiritual support, professional support, maybe financial support, but aspects of our lives that we tend to ignore are the ones that we need help with the most. And one such area is psychosocial support. What is it? And why do you increasingly find young people talking about the challenges with their mental health as relates to their work, their love lives, and just that balance in their lives? It's just a privilege to have a good friend of mine, a clinical health psychologist from the Ghana Psychological Association, and also the attaché here at the Ghana Growth Program and Springboard, my friend Samuel Panti. Sam, good to see you.
Good to see you, Rev. How are you?
I'm very well. Very well, and thanks for making time.
It's nice seeing you.
Good. So, what exactly is psychosocial support, and why do we need it?
All right. So, Reverend, I think answering this question, I think I'll start from these basics. That will help very much. As a human being, we talk about holistic health. Now, so as a holistic health, we are talking about your physical health, we are talking about your mental health, we are talking about your social environment, and we are talking about your spirituality. Now, the physical health, we know that the doctors are specifically there with their psychiatrist. But when it comes to the psych aspect or the psycho, that is when we come in as mental health or psychologists. And then we have the social aspect, that is the environment and the people around us. And the final one, that is spirituality, which you mentioned. Now, so when we are talking about psychosocial support, we are talking about the middle aspect. That is where the mental health practitioner comes in, and then the support system that we do have concerning the people around us, our family members, our friends, our society, our belief system of a sort. So when you say psychosocial support, we are talking about the individual's thought processes, what kind of influences your whole action and your behavior, and then the support system that is there that guides you to be positive and to move on in life. So that is the middle aspect we are talking about. And they are all related. Physical related to our psycho or our psyche, and it's also related to our social, and so related to our spirituality. So that is the support system we are talking in the middle. Yeah.
The average person starts life determined to do well.
Yeah.
You are saying life is holistic, and health is holistic.
Yeah.
So the person can relate to the fact that yes, they need to pray, they need to connect with God. They can relate to the fact that they need money, they need to solve their everyday financial needs.
Yeah.
Help us to appreciate the needs that make it essential that we pay attention to this psychosocial system that you mentioned. What are the needs in our lives that make it necessary for us to get support in this area?
All right. So I think one of the major needs that help us to ground ourselves for the support or psychosocial support, one has to do with the people around us. We having a support system where we can rely on, that just in case life decides to sway you away, even though you have a focus of wanting to be successful, when it sways you away, if you have that group of people around you or that coping environment that can help you to decide to take the positive steps again or find your path again. You also have to understand that, as I said from the beginning, all these aspects of us are connected. So if you sort that part out, as in your social support part out, it gives you the grounds to be able to improve on your thought process as well. Because a person close to you, whatever they say, influences you and on how you think and how you act. So if you have a positive or a good social support system, you tend to think positive.
Would you say there's a correlation between being grounded in that area of our lives and our professional success?
100%. If you have positive people around you, your productivity increases. If you are in an environment where the workers are friendly, open-minded, encouraging, supportive, your productivity shoots up. But if you are in an environment where there's gossip and there are negative energies around there, your productivity comes down. So there's a much correlation between that.
I know there are organizations that have residents. Here at Springboard, we work with GPA and by extension yourself, because we deal with young people, and I'm going to come to that.
Right.
But for the purposes of this conversation,
right.
I know there are organizations that invest in having a resident psychologist or clinical psychologist attached to the organization. Would you say that is because of this particular need that you mentioned of creating the right chemistry within the organization?
Certainly. Now, so over the years, we've had well-being specifically being a very important aspect that people are thinking about right now. So in the coming days, Ghana is going to have its first African health conference. And the topic is well-being and like the work, importance of well-being and work. So this same psychosocial support, these organizations have realized that it's necessary for their workers to think positive and work positive, and of course it will shoot out their productivity. So they've made it as an attachment, which is very important to help their vision to be achieved. So in every organization, mostly they have maybe the spiritual leaders, they have the nurses or the doctors, and now they've realized that it's important for us to get a psychosocial support. So they are bringing in counselors, psychologists, mental health practitioners. Even if it's not full-time, it happens at a point in time, then they'll bring the person in and the person will go off at a point in time. So I think the world or the organizations are realizing that it's necessary. So they are bringing them in.
Sam, let's go into the triggers. What kinds of situations do people present when they reach out to you for your services?
Okay. So one of the major things that I could see when people come to me has to do with disruptions regarding their sleep and disruptions regarding their focus in life, the fact that they are confused as to what they want to achieve in life. It's because it appears everybody wants to be like everybody. We tend to compare ourselves with each other, which stresses us. So I think one of the things, I believe social media could be one of them. The fact that you keep seeing your friends or your family members or your classmates moving in a particular direction that you wish you can be like them, but you don't get the opportunity to be like them. And it tends to stress you, it tends to zone you out. I think that's one of the major things I can say. Yeah.
So you say that people feel unfulfilled because they can't be like that person that they admire.
Right.
And that puts pressure on them.
It does.
Now, how does that pressure present itself? You mentioned sleep. What is the connection between not being able to achieve your aspirations and sleep?
I mean, literally, when you are worried, it tends to affect your sleep. Now, you tend to raise your thoughts, you keep thinking. So even when you go to bed, at that time that you need to relax yourself, at that time where you need to get your tissues to be renewed or kind of refurbished, that's the time that you used to think. So you wake up unhealthy, tired, and it even worsens the stress that you are going on you're going through in the first place. Yeah.
What would be the symptoms that one should look out for as a sign that you either stressed or need support in the mental health space?
Okay, so I think most of the things that we ask around that time is if there's been a change between your current daily activities and how it was earlier. If there's been a change in your daily activities now or your day-to-day activities now, there's a high possibility that something has happened in the middle or there was a cause somewhere. That's why that effect is coming. So we find out that one first as what is actually happening or what made the change in the course of your daily activities. And then if you tend to maybe apologize most of the time, it could be not having self-confidence, it could be not seeing yourself as enough as one of the things as well. The sleep component is definitely the major one. Disruptions in life where you tend to mix things up. You're just so confused, all right? So we take a lot of things into consideration.
So let's sample a situation where somebody either loses their job or fears that they will lose their job. Let's say there's a very competitive environment or industry and the opportunities are shrinking.
Yeah.
So maybe there's been a first batch of redeployments or layoffs, and you calculate and you think the next one could possibly touch you. It hasn't touched you yet, but you can feel so stressed. For somebody like that, explain the signs of what they are going through and the kind of support that can be given to them.
Right. So I'm smiling because I've been in that situation before.
Tell me how you felt.
Yeah. So whenever you go for meetings, whenever they call us for a meeting or you're having a general meeting, I get scared. It's as if the next name they are going to mention is me, or I'm the next person they are going to talk about. The spotlight is going to be put on for discussion. So when I'm going to work, I'm not so happy. I wake up in the morning and I wish I wouldn't go to work, but I can't say I wouldn't go to work too. Now you go to work, it's like every decision that you take, you feel that someone will talk about it, or your supervisor will say what you are doing is wrong, or you feel that what you are doing might lead to a problem. And when a problem comes, you'll be the only one hanging in there. Literally, you are confused the whole time when you are moving, and it's worrisome.
In that kind of situation, do you feel helpless, angry, suspicious? What kind of emotions?
It mixes up all of them. So suspicious because maybe your colleague, you feel like maybe your colleague is looking at you to say something that is negative about you to your boss that will pull you down, or maybe angry in the sense that you are good at what you do, but maybe your boss is not seeing it. Maybe you are doing your best, but your boss is not seeing it, and the only thing that maybe probably gets projected in the eyes of your boss is your negative part. And confusion, of course, also falls in. So literally, whoever is in an environment, mostly I talk about unhealthy or certain situation, they say toxic environment. Everybody there, literally, if you have a conversation with them, are not fully healthy.
So in an organization that is not necessarily toxic, but is facing disruptions in terms of lower income, maybe arising out of a global change, a supply chain disruption, or the industry is just shrinking. The opportunities are not there anymore. And for that reason, this is happening. It's possible to be very, very nice, but still have this kind of tension you're talking about, because there's just no opportunity to keep you on the job. And you're seeing that person is angry on one side, confused on one side,
and the person just was suspicious in general. When your mental health is up there, you have a good psychosocial support system, you feel safe to work, you feel happy to go to work. For example, in schools, like a school, a teacher wants to go to school because they get the opportunity to smile with the kids and all that, even though their salary is not too good, but they still feel happy to go. But maybe another company, you feel like they get a lot of money, but you see them to be too stressed and they don't even want to go to work.
What happens when this stress builds up and it's not dealt with? What are the potential outcomes?
Remember I told you that all our aspects are connected. So if you have stress, it could be mental stress or thinking a lot of time and racing. It here can affect your physical aspect, where you can literally break down. You can just go to work, you can even go to exam, and everything you've learned within the past 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, you go blank. You can literally just get so tired, feel dizzy, your blood pressure will go up. So it affects your physical aspect. And of course, this same stress can also affect your support system or the people around your environment as well.
As in being transmitted?
Yeah, yes, more or less like lashing out on you because I'm stressed. Like, I'm stressed, I have something that is bothering me. And you are telling me that probably maybe the machine is fault, or maybe the sockets for the machine, for the printer is not working. It's something very tiny that you can tell somebody else to work on. And you're coming to tell me about it. I'm already stressed coming to work. So if you tell me something like that, of course I will lash out on you. Then it affects the social support as well.
Okay.
So it connects. Even your spirituality. I get too stressed. I get too tired. I get too worried. I don't even want to go to church. I even get tired to pray. Then little by little, you're disconnecting. So stress, of course, every aspect of ours connect. That's what I'm trying to say.
Let me zero in on the young people that we principally work with here at Springboard. Okay. So Springboard mainly is about helping young people to find themselves, live out their full potential, guiding them along the lines of career development, leadership,
Right.
investment, talent development, and all these are entrepreneurship. These are all aimed at the person's socioeconomic well-being.
Yeah.
But we've also found out in the course of what we do with the Mastercard Foundation on Ghana Growth Program that many of these young people are facing major decisions and a lot of external pressures that make issues far more complex than they probably were before. The different situations present themselves. I mean, like an example is a parent wanting their child to go in one direction, the child wants to go in another direction. The parent saying, I pay the bills, the child saying, listen, I know the market now. What you are seeing used to be the case 10 years ago.
It's
It's a
now.
shrinking industry
Yeah.
now. And literally, the parent is stressed, the child is stressed. How do we suddenly find young people dealing with levels of stress that were never the case when we were growing up in Kadi in the
Dancing
70s? Tell me, uncles and Harvard City and dancing to masquerade music. It was never the case.
No, it was not.
Why are the young people today so stressed?
You remember I mentioned about comparison. So I believe currently young people, aside the fact that they strive to be better personally, I think they tend to compare themselves with people a lot. So even if your interest or your hobbies or your passion is in one area, when you take first step, second step, and it's not working as you want to be like another person. So it's like trying to put round pegs in a square hole.
Okay.
Yeah. So it tends to affect them generally because they are not being themselves. And here, of course, in a situation where mom and dad are trying to influence your decision, it still affects the same way where you don't get to be yourself. So there's a disconnection between your real self and your ideal self. This is my real self. I love mathematics. I love teaching. But maybe I hope to be this particular person in future. Or I hope to be this particular person in future. If I have that direction and mom and dad tends to affect my decision, or I want to be maybe like Reverend Ocran, but my skill set is probably in basket weaving.
By the way, I have skills in that as well. One of my
Right.
my teenage
Right.
things I attempted was basket weaving.
Interesting.
Somewhere in the Eastern region.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Wow. So yes, if imbalance happen, it tends to stress them more.
When they come to you, what do you do as a psychologist?
Okay. So basically what we do is to help them to find their purpose first. Now, if there's a confusion between family, having mom, dad, and the child, first we find ways and means for them to understand and have the same point of view first. Now, if you don't have that, it tends to affect. So we let mom and dad understand this reality that is happening and the both sides, the advantages here and disadvantages here, the challenges and the positives in it. And then we get them together before we take the focus. So we help the person or the child or the young one to find his purpose. Because if you're doing something, you don't have the passion to do it. There's no motivation. There's no intrinsic inner motivation. How do you do that?
What are the tools you use? Are they exercises? Is it material that they read?
Okay.
Do you hypnotize them? Help me to appreciate what tools you use in the execution of
hypnotize. I like that. I remember my lecturer telling me that, Dr. Krafner, that is something you shouldn't try right now. If you don't have the requisite knowledge, say, okay, doc, I will not try that. Because hypnotism is it's not an easy thing to do, and it's very technical. So as a clinician, if you don't have the requisite knowledge, please don't go there. Away from that.
So just to orient the public about when they come to see a psychologist, what should they expect?
Okay. So when you come to see a psychologist, we'll open you up. That's what will happen. We'll open you up to see the possibilities there are. But we have to make you understand yourself, understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, understand how you can build on your strengths.
And these are a set of questions that you ask?
Yeah. So okay, so let me go detail. All right. So we do have something called intake assessment. So we take every history about you, regarding your family, regarding your work, regarding your friends, regarding your medical history, psychiatric history. We take all the history. Now, in the point of our conversation, we figure out which part we should concentrate more. So sometimes if we get about relationship and you feel like you're having relationship challenges, we'll note it, we'll go and come back there. Sometimes we realize that you have an issue with you finding your purpose, we'll note it, we'll go and come back there. Then we start that conversation. So it's not a one-day thing. It's a progressive little by little thing. But in the end, you get to understand yourself. You get to know the next steps that you should have, and you get to know where your focus should be in general. So you work on your holistic health again.
This is Springboard of Virtual University. My guest, Samuel Panti. He's here with us, attached to us here at Springboard, working with us on the Ghana Growth Program from the Ghana Psychological Association. Sam is a clinical health psychologist, and it's helping us to understand what exactly is psychosocial support and why you need it more than you even think. He's been talking about the work environment and how the kind of environment you work in can either facilitate or work against your productivity. Sam, so we are looking also at the pressures that make people come to you for help and the support that you give them when they come. And you say you take them through some intake assessment that helps you to understand where they are on their journey.
Yeah.
So what you're saying now is that if the person comes, you're asking a lot of questions, they shouldn't think they are being egoistic.
The intake assessment is just a prelims to understand the person. To understand the person, yeah. So it's not the actual therapy. That will give you a heads up what's where you should focus on and understand the whole individual. If you don't do that, you will never understand the person. I can only and help you if I understand you. Yeah.
So is it a very gradual process, and do you sometimes find that after applying the tools you have, things are much more complex than you think? Help me to understand.
Right. The very first thing is it's a process. The very first day, I remember one major thing my supervisor gave me at Trauma Hospital, Winneba, is that the very first day, all the information you get is skeleton. Meaning, it's not the actual information. The flesh will come up the next day. The other flesh will come up the next day. So first is a gradual process. Now, when you come in, if there's a major crisis, maybe you can't sleep, maybe you are worried, there's anxiety, maybe you are depressed, so much that is affecting your daily activities, we deal with that one first. So we talk about how best we can help you to get out of that for a while. Before our next session, we go to the intake assessment. The intake assessment is the major aspect. So sometimes it can take about an hour 30 minutes for a session just to get the whole information from you. Then understand the situation you are in before we plan what we have to do during the time. Whether it's your thought process that we have to help you combat or change your distorted thinking, or maybe it has to do with your choices. Maybe it has to do with maybe your values that you are not so sure of. Maybe it has to do with how you were brought up. Maybe it has to do with a trauma or an abuse that you had in the course of it. So it's a long process. It's not a day or two or three.
Are there instances where something that the person encountered in their childhood that they're not aware about is the biggest driver of their mental health state?
Yes.
And yet they're not aware of it?
Oh, yes.
Help me to understand that.
So let me just give you one scenario. So this friend of mine who was talking about she not having confidence in herself. And that's the fact that even when she knows the answer to what the lecturer is asking, she won't stand up to say it. She would want to tap somebody else, give the person the answer, and the person will say it. And feels like she can't do it. She keeps shivering whenever she stands up. Now, so when she told me, the very first question I asked her was, tell me about your childhood. Where is mom? Where is dad? Then he started talking about it. Mom and dad never got married. She never got a chance to stay with mom. She had a chance to stay with grandma throughout her life. I was like, okay, give me 2 words to demonstrate or represent your relationship with your grandma. The very first thing was, I feel grandma never likes me. Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't be alive. That was the 2 things she said. Okay, now let's probe further. Why do you say that? Now probing further, according to what she said, grandma is not encouraging. She talks too much and compares her to other people. And whatever thing that she does, grandma says it's wrong. Right? So grandma beats her up, shuts her down most of the time. And this has happened for a long period till she went to SHS. So if you look at how the process has been, of course, when she comes out to the general public, she's not confident enough because during her childhood, she was shut down. So inside her, she's not confident. I don't want to go detail like a conscious mind and subconscious mind, but a conscious mind has always been active in the sense that you're not good enough, you can't do it, you are weak, you don't have the confidence. So the subconscious mind will pick it up as, hey, that's who you are. So even in public, when you grow up, started from your childhood, you'll still not be confident in life.
What are the implications for parents, grandparents? Because let's start with this scenario without going into the details about the person's individual situation.
Right.
But then what does it say about the impact of parenting, grandparenting, if I may use that word, the words we see and the things we do on the child's well-being going forward into the future? I suspect that what you are describing probably may have happened a decade or 2 earlier. And yes, the impact was still present.
Yeah.
What does it say about how
Parenting should be? Right. So generally, as a parent, you should know that you are trying to mold a child or a person to be the best of themselves. So you should use empathy when you are trying to correct them, because you are forming behavior. So the early childhood of a child or of a person is the most important part of the person.
What do you call early childhood?
So the early childhood of a child.
At what age?
That I would say around like 2, 3 to 6 thereabout. So we go through phases. So let's say 2 to 6 thereabout, early childhood. Very important because their brain is forming, their thought process is forming and all that. And then they hit 9, 10, and puberty sets in. So now they are trying to be like somebody else. They listen to their friends out there. So we go through the phases as they are. So in all the phases and how parenting should be. So I believe parents should first get the education to understand how parenting should be. Now, earlier when we were younger, the parenting style was different as compared to now.
Yeah.
Because now everybody seems to be busy. Everybody seems to be disconnected from individuals because we use screens a lot. We take our phones and we are done. We don't even want to talk to the next person. So parenting has changed. So I think parents should abreast themselves as to how best they can mold their children. So parents, I think they should go for therapy to know how best they can help their children.
Parents should go for therapy.
100%.
The child is going for therapy. 100%. So we all need help.
So literally everybody needs help.
Those are the thoughts of Samuel Panti. I guess for today, he's a clinical health psychologist and he's helping us to understand this whole need for psychosocial support. And at this point, he's saying that, listen, the parent who is struggling to understand the child's peculiarities needs it. The child needs it, and we all need it. Let's go for a break. When we come back, let's find out what the children are being pushed by, what they are saying to themselves, and then look at certain online trends that communicate to children directly without the involvement of anyone else in their space. What have you been noticing in your interaction with the young people around you? Do you find them doing things that don't make sense? And by the way, the parent that is fighting the child says the parent is being unreasonable. The parent says the child is being unreasonable. Who is right and who is wrong? I think we all need to slow down and go to Samuel Panti or somebody from the Ghana Psychological Association or any professional to help us find our space and navigate our way forward. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana, the Enterprise Group, and the Ghana Growth Program, with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. Let me drop an enterprise advantage tip for today. And the question is simply, do my premiums increase as my age increases? If you took a policy and you've now grown older, does your premium increase accordingly? And the response is this: although your age determines your premiums, it is only at the sign up stage. Once you sign up, it is locked. So once you buy a policy at Ghana Cedi AAA, your premiums do not increase as you age. It's only when you opt for the inflation protector that protects the value of your sum assured. So the premiums don't increase, but you can say, listen, I want an inflation protector so that my premiums can increase to match the changes in the environment. And that is when it increases. This is brought to you by the Enterprise Group. The number to call 030-263-4777. Email info@myenterprisegroup.io. Enterprise, as I say, is your advantage. Let's go for a break. When we come back, let's begin to navigate our way around some of the more recent developments that were not there when all of us were younger than we are now. And let's find out, what are the implications for our decision making? Please don't go away.
Hello? Bye.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird. Bird, bird is the bird. Bird is the bird. Don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is the bird. Bird is the bird.
To consider the implications.
Hello? Everybody knows that the bird is the bird.
Whether it's 1924, 2024, or 2124, we've always known that you are driven by your sense of safety and well-being. It is what drives us to see you through from start to finish, from small to big. And in the last 100 years, as you have evolved, so have we also expanded to serve you in many ways. From cradle to grave, with expertise in insurance, life, pensions, properties, health, and for those beautiful memorable goodbyes. It's 2024, and in all our markets, our pedigree is recognized, our strength respected, our expertise valued, and our solutions sought by all who desire an advantage in life. Experience the time-tested and truly trusted 100 years legacy of Ghana's oldest insurer. Take charge of your future now. Insurance, life, pensions, property management, funeral services, health insurance. Enterprise, your advantage.
This be me, Kobe, aka Kobe Boga, KB for short. And this is my sweetheart, Obahima. Today, I get big surprise for her. Charlie, gone are the days I couldn't spoil my girl. Now I'm engaged to the woman of my dreams. Don't just look at my success. To get here, I had to follow the process. Out of nowhere, I lost my job. But I believe in humble beginnings. I got an idea that I knew I could grow. I started from a small setup, then invested in growing my own coconuts. I then grew my product lines. Now, I sell to many supermarkets in the country. Fellow young Ghanaians, trust the process and keep hope alive.
Take advantage of agri-business through the Ghana Grows program. Ghana Grows, Hope Day.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and to this conversation about psychosocial support and its importance on our journey in life. My name is Albert Ocran. I'm here with Samuel Panti, who's from the Ghana Psychological Association and also attached to us here at Springboard Roadshow Foundation, working with us on the Ghana Growth Program. We'll be talking about the young people that we serve very shortly. But let's talk about disruptions.
Okay.
Disruptions. Why do we take the disruptions of life so badly?
Well, Reverend, I think I'll ask who is ever ready for a disruption? It's like you're not ready for it. And that's how the word is, disrupt. It just tends to sway you away from your course. So I think the readiness is the problem. If I know that in the next 2 weeks or next 2 days, I'm going to lose my job, I prepare myself or psych myself ahead of it. But if I'm not prepared for it and it just happens sudden, it disrupts every part of me. So for me, I'll say the readiness of it. If I know it ahead of time, I tend to prepare myself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually ahead of time. So I tend to be okay. If not, it sways me away.
Which kinds of people do well and which kinds of people don't do well? Because there are people that even when their football club loses, they take it so badly. I mean, it can be people don't eat when their club loses, and I'm like, it's just football.
I know. I know.
Where does the intensity? I mean, where does that intensity come from? Is it?
I think the attachment.
Attachment.
Okay. If you are so,
help me to appreciate.
Yeah. So I mean, if you are so much attached to something, if the football is one of them, or maybe you're attached to a loved one, or you're attached to a job, or you're attached to it could be your car. Yeah. If the attachment is so strong, if it gets broken or it gets disrupted or it gets spoiled or it's taken away permanently, yeah, the level of attachment determines the level of pain you go through or the disruptions or worry you go through.
I once saw it. I think there used to be a telenovela called Esmeralda, one of those telenovelas, and I saw two old ladies arguing about Jose Amando, some guy being the drama. Look, gonna bring you, I'm like a very evil person. I'm like, this is a television. Telenovela for Christ's sake, and the lead character insulting the lead character, very highly worked up. How do we contain some of these effects?
Well, it happens.
What is the psychology behind it?
I think it's the attachment. So because if maybe in the character, I love this particular character so much, and I wish it ends well for the person, I tend to put myself in the shoes of the person. So immediately something gets disrupted in the middle of it, where maybe, this person is supposed to maybe marry this person, and it didn't get to happen in the movie. It worries me because I tend to be attached to the person.
It's a movie. How can it affect people's their food, their mood, their relationship?
Football. It's basically the same. I think it's the attachment. See, it could also be that the person has gone through some personal experiences that is connected to that before. If it's movies, I think that most characters speaks to we as individuals. So if we watch a movie and what the person is doing or the life the person is going, the path, it might be connected to you in a way. So that's another way you can get attached. But aside that one, is basically our love for it. Like for me, my love for Manchester United. So when I take my phone,
that is why I know that you're a good guy.
So that's when I take my phone right now, I go to Twitter. The only thing I go straight to is to check the what's the thing, the transfer window. Who have you bought? Have you bought Delight? I just want to know that you bought our player. So yeah, that's the attachment I have. So if we lose, it tends to affect me.
Let's go to the young people.
Yeah,
there seems to be an increased incidence of young people dealing with challenges that were not familiar, and parents seem to be unaware of these and react in ways that sometimes make the situation worse. Help us to appreciate the dynamic of where the young people are and what the parents should look out for and how they should react so that they support them rather than worsen the situation. Because I've seen some extreme situations that everyone has woken up and said, how come we didn't spot this coming?
Yeah.
But let's start with, what are the pressures young people are facing?
So, Reverend, I like this part very well because I love to work with children. I will say this, mostly politicians use it and we're also using it. the COVID era has changed our system. So before COVID, we had phones, of course. We had screens, of course. But now it has changed to the extent that we get to be more concentrated on screens. So even parents and children. Now we are little by little moving away from that support system, human to human, to just screens and human. So sometimes family members even go for dinner and everybody there has picked the phone in the dinner. But earlier, some years ago, we'll communicate and even eat together from the same plate.
And what does that do for the mental health or the
support
system of the person? Yes.
Is the support system. It strengthens and increases the bondage of the support system. It makes me open to talk to you. It makes me open to talk to the other person. It makes the other person feel free to talk to me, and of course connect them as well, because we are always talking. But now it's not like that anymore. We don't talk to people. We rather confine ourselves on our phones. And we human beings, we are created as social human beings, meaning we are not supposed to live life alone. We are supposed to live life connecting to other people, so as others connecting to us. But if we disconnect that and concentrate on phones, it tends to affect us generally. And it's the same thing that's happening with parents and children currently. They get so attached on their screens, they get too attached on a cartoon particular program or a particular game, which is becoming an addiction for children now. And they actually even get addicted to adult content now, because the control is not there. The management is not there. The parent is busy herself and she's also on her phone. So literally that disconnection is happening currently. So I think that's a major thing with children currently.
What signs should a parent look out for in a child who's going through stress or challenges?
Right. I think one major thing you should look out for, underlined, if the child is not getting enough rest. And if the child seems to have his grades from school coming down, ask questions. Why is your grades coming down? Ask the teacher, what's happening? Go to the school, find out what's happening. Is my child behaving a different way in school as compared to home? If you don't have that connection with the school or the teacher, you can see your child behaving in a particular way at home, but in school, it's a very total different thing. So I think you should find ways and means to know your child in and out, not just home.
Let's stay with that issue for a bit, because I hear this far more often these days than it used to be. So this idea about a dual character is also a psychological phenomenon worth studying, or is it just an attempt to conceal from the parents the true nature of the child?
Okay, so we have the personality of a person, which cuts across every place of you. So if somebody says, who is Reverend? So when you are outside the room, who is Reverend? That's where whatever they will explain who he is, mostly is your personality, who you cut across everywhere. You're the same person everywhere. But we have a persona, where it's more or less like a mask that we put on in different situations. So in my presence with Reverend, I have a particular mask I'm putting on. Humble, quiet. I go with mom, the same thing. Humble, maybe even dad, humble and quiet. Take me from there and take me to a playground with my boys. I'm a very different person.
Yes, and the parents should take note of all the
Take
various
note
spaces
of all these
and ask questions.
Ask questions. Because maybe it could be that it could be your fault as a parent. Maybe there's something that you are not giving the child. Maybe you're not giving the space for the child to talk and express themselves. So you have to connect to everywhere the significant other of the child, all aspects of the
As
child.
psychologists attached to an educational facility, when children come to you, what kinds of situations do they present?
Right. So I love this. So when children come to me in an educational facility, what they mostly talk about is issues where they don't have the space to let out. So children have to let out. They have to talk. They have to have somebody they trust to talk to them about their problems. But most educational facilities, we've realized that parents are super busy now. Right? They would rather want to leave their child in the care of somebody else and concentrate on their jobs. Most parents. So if the child is not feeling that connection with mom and dad, the problem comes in where the child wants to let out the emotion at school or come to you at the counselor's office, and we'll show it in a different way until if you are experienced, you get to pick out that maybe the child is trying to write letters to you or send you notes or come and hug you in the morning or wants to come and talk to you. Then you keep asking questions. What's happening? Where's mom? Did you see mom before coming? I've not seen mom for a while. I've not seen that for a while. Then you just punch holes in it. So I feel that's one of the major things that we've observed now. Parents are busy.
Statistically, there's a rise in suicide rates,
Yeah.
and child suicide has become a phenomenon where it didn't used to be. Would you say that in the extreme cases, what you describe could be one of the triggers?
Yes,
of
it could be 100%. So back to the psychosocial support, the social aspect, where we are created as human beings to be social human beings. We have to talk. We have to let it out. We have to express it. Now, if we don't express it to another human being and we express it to our phones, it's a problem. Now, our field, I would say, is one of the fields that AI cannot replace, because you cannot talk to a computer. You cannot take a computer as your friend.
Those games children play where they are talking to somebody on the other side and they can play for 4 hours, 5 hours, and they talk and the person is talking back in their and the earphones are on.
So,
what are the implications of that?
So it's helpful in a particular extent, but that cannot be a human being. That cannot replace a human being.
Ostensibly, it's another human being in another part of the world they are playing the game with.
Oh, if
a real human being, yes.
You are talking about gaming where people are connected. Oh yeah, that's okay. Because that's in the other end is a human being. That's fine. Because I can have online sessions where the other person could be in US or any other country. That's all right. At least they are still connecting. But if the only way they can connect is gaming for hours and hours and hours, the problem is not the person at the other end. The problem is they're spending most time sitting down, not exercising or moving around playing the game. It happens to be another challenge as well.
And that could be dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ghana Grows program.
Yeah.
Our partnership with the Ghana Psychological Association is because as part of our offering to support young people pursuing careers in agriculture, ATVET, and just opening up these sectors as opportunity areas for them, we find that young people have questions, they have challenges that need psychosocial support. And just for anyone who may not know, the call center for Ghana Grows to either call or text is 030-8255-775. 030-8255-775. So if you are a young person aged between 15 and 35 and you require guidance or assistance, you can actually call this hotline or WhatsApp us and we'll reach back to you. And you can get the support of a peer mentor or a clinical psychologist like Sam to talk to you. Sam, why is that important? Why is that support important for the young people that you're trying to reach?
Okay, so with Ghana Grows program, I believe it's a beautiful program to me. The fact that you are concentrating on the economical relief of an individual, you've also taken into consideration their mental health and providing them psychological support, psychosocial support, literally for free. I think it's a plus on the Ghana Grows program. So it tends to give them the opportunity where they ask all the questions that they've been trying to look for answers for. So they tend to ask questions about their career. They tend to ask questions about their spiritual life, about their emotions, about their friends, about their family, about something that has been bothering them and they don't have answers to. So they tend to at least get the opportunity to express this, and then you can find ways and means to even connect them to their actual passion. Some of them are interested in agric fully, but just that because they see Mr. A or Mr. B or Kofi or Ama venturing into another business, they are scared to even enter into agribusiness So just having that conversation with them to figure out where their fear is and reconnect them to their path of being in agribusiness, I think it's a great opportunity for them.
Let's talk about confidence. In our travels, we come across young people who are doing a course, but their struggle is that everyone in the school looks down on that course and thinks maybe home economics, vocational skills, agriculture is not prestigious.
Right.
And so even though they are doing it, their confidence level is hit by the perception of other people. Should that person reach out to you, what kind of support will a psychologist give that person who maybe has lost their sense of self-worth because they didn't get the course that they wanted?
Yeah. So I like this. I'll give you a backstory of 2 school science I had when I was in SHS. So one school, both of them were doing reading home economics. There were the only 2 guys in the class. Everybody knew them and they were teasing them most of the time. Why home economics? Why this and why
For males?
that? For males.
Okay.
There were just 2 in the class. Does it permit me to mention their names?
No, leave them out just for the benefit of.
Right, sure. Now, the 2 of them currently, one are in major companies, or I don't want to mention where they are, but major companies outside the country doing very well. Doing very, very well. And it was this same home economics. One ventured into fully hospitality management and chef staff, became one of the leading chefs in Africa. And he's doing very well outside the country. Same as the other gentleman who ventured into nursing, also left as well and is also doing very well. Now, these are people that got the confidence and got the good social support to be able to encourage them to move through. Now, currently, sometimes you might be on the same path, or even if it's not exactly what I'm trying to describe, you might be on your own path. But other people you might be looking at other people and you want to sway away from your actual path. So I think getting an opportunity with a therapist or a psychologist on the Ghana Grows program, you get the chance to at least let that pain or the fear out. Then we talk through it as to how we can get you back on your path. Literally.
So do you use some of these references like you just gave as a way of assuring the person that you may not like what you're doing, but the future could be bright?
Yeah, it depends, yes, but I use that. However, individual differences. Everybody's background story is different. So sometimes you listen to their background story and you know how best you can support the person. But if it falls in line with what I just shared, I give them some examples and it works for them.
For the one listening out there who may not get to see a therapist or a professional, share some mindfulness practices that you will recommend for the general person who wants to be stronger mentally than they are before.
Okay, so I'll share this that I've been doing for a while. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you should pick up shouldn't be your phone. The first thing you should do in the morning, aside your spiritual aspect, if you want to pray, the first thing you should do in the morning is to spend time with yourself and think and write. Because when you wake up in the morning, when you pick a phone, whatever message you see first changes your mood for the day. And if you're not careful, that will be the mood that will take you through the whole day. If you see a story that is happy or sad or whatever emotion, it will take you through.
So those who send those early morning messages that are not inspirational, you're warning them.
In the morning, you are changing somebody's mood for the whole day.
My goodness.
So in the morning,
you should block them.
Please don't go on phone. Have time for yourself. And whatever idea that comes in your head, write it. Just spend more time with yourself. Write your ideas down. I think that's the major thing I'll talk about.
How to start the day.
How to start the day. Write your ideas down. Because most ideas come when you are, sometimes even when you're bathing. There's a science behind it, that when you're bathing, your brain tends to open and close. I'm not so sure the details of the science behind it, but if you get more ideas even when you're bathing, please write them down.
I have a son who spends quite some time in the bathroom. It's quite creative. Now that I know that, I'm going to tell him to stay there.
So yeah, I think this literally spend time with themselves. Because when you spend more time with yourself, thinking about what you like, what you don't like, what you're being free to yourself, what my challenges are, what my strengths are. When I spoke with this person, I realized the person encouraged me. When I'm with the person's emotion makes me negative. let me not go to the person again. This friend is a good friend. Let me take him. Let me call him this day. Let me call him today. This friend, no, let me not call this person. Let me go for therapy.
And all this, I think you should think about.
Think about yourself. And this is you spending time with yourself. Because when I meet A, I meet B, I go to phone, I forget all that. So I don't spend time with myself, but I spend time with other things that tends to move my concentration from me building myself. So I think you should spend more time with yourself.
Let's wrap up by talking to the various people whose words, whose actions could impact other people psychosocially without realizing it. So let's start with parents. Maybe talk to role models, pastors, people who get to speak to audiences who look up to them.
Right.
What should they do or say, and what should they not do or say?
Okay. So according to this theory that we mostly use called social modeling theory by Albert Bandura, it says that children learn from observation. What you do is what they learn from.
And not what you see.
Not what you say entirely. So as you continuously make those projections on them, the children are actually learning it. So you should be positive around them. Encourage them that they can do it, because at that time, as I said, they are also forming their paradigm. Whatever you are saying is making up their subconscious mind. So be positive around them. Tell them positive things. Even when they make a mistake, correct them right. If they are on a wrong path, bring them to the path that you feel that can help them. But there should be this positive environment around the child with positivity, good information around them that will help the child groom and grow out. Because when you groom one child very well, the child yet also groom someone else, and the person also grooms someone else. But when you break one child, the child will also grow up and break another person, right? So we have to create that space for them, even as parents, as elderly people, as social media influencers, as models or artists. Our words, our dressing, all these things count because children are actually watching us.
Let's talk to the children, the young people who are listening to us.
Right.
What would you say to them?
What I'll say to them is, get the opportunity and open up to mom, open up to dad, open up to a loved one, and talk about your issues. You are not created to keep all the problems to yourself. Now, this life, there will always be challenges, right? You cannot control the challenges that are coming. You cannot control the wind that is blowing you, but you can find a way to direct the sail of your ship so that the wind will not blow you away. So you have to find ways and means to adapt the situation. So don't keep it yourself. Open up to somebody you can open up to, and the person guide you.
Samuel Panti, God give you the power to change one thing about this world from your perspective as a clinical health psychologist. What will you do?
Oh, personally, I would love everybody to understand the power of the mind. That's the only thing I'll let them understand.
Why?
Because the power of the mind can make you create and make you innovative and make you achieve whatever you're hoping to achieve. If you understand what conscious mind is, what subconscious mind is, if you understand what the whole body is, what the soul is, and what the spirit is, see, you will move mountains. That's what I can say.
You will move mountains. I almost asked Sam Panti to sing because Sam is a very good singer. Thank you so much for making time for this conversation. Let's find time again to help more people to find the support that they need to navigate their journey.
It's nice. Thank you.
And so if you are a young person, once again, especially between the ages of 15 and 35, especially for young women looking for career direction, looking for help to navigate your way at this stage in your lives, the good news is that the Ghana Grows hotline or the call center will connect you to answers to the various questions you have on your mind. What are the opportunities in agriculture and ATVets? How do you prepare yourself for the job market? You're unemployed. What are the job readiness tools that are available to you? Where is the learning management center you can go to and get help for free? There is so much available to help you to move on and to do well in life. And Ghana Grows is saying, call the number 030-8255-775 and you can get help to be able to live out your dreams and become the very best of yourself. And some is saying that above all things, just know the power of your mind and who you can become if you know that one right. This has been Springboard, your virtual university, brought to you by the Springboard Ratio Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana, the Enterprise Group, and the Ghana Growth Program. Ghana Growth is a collaboration between MasterCard Foundation, the Springboard Ratio Foundation, and other consortium partners. Our media partners are the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So we come your way again next week. My name is Albert Ocran, saying God bless you, and God bless you.
Turning point, yeah. He's a